Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here, and today I'm bringing you guys a special video. We're going to be discussing Zarude. Recently, I used it on the OLT ladder to climb up to 1700, 1800, and it was a really fun time. I used a team that Separation used to qualify for last cycle, and he posted it on the Smongon forums in the OLT discussion thread, so be sure to check that out. I'll try to remember to leave a link to the team in the description, but that aside, all the credit for that goes to Separation, who very creative player and came up with the team. The team itself is Zarude with a set that has Bulk Up, Power Whip, Crunch, and Jungle Healing, and that is really the main way people are using it. You're able to set up on things like Toxpex or Toxic Skarmory or Toxic Hippowdon or Will-O-Wisp, Rotom Wash, or Toxic Excadrill, or whatever status-inducing Pokemon that can't quite kill you in a 2 hits really you encounter. And you're able to set up with Bulk Up, which is able to prevent the damage from Body Press, and Iron Hit from Excadrill, and so on and so forth as well, which is helpful. And basically, Jungle Healing lets it so that you gain 25% health, which is going to be quite a bit when you're boosting your defense, and you also negate status. So that Toxic, that Scaldburn, that Will-O-Wisp is not going to be there. And because of that, it makes dealing with things like Toxpex infinitely easier. And you really counter Toxpex no matter what stats it goes for, which is a great addition to teams. Moreover, it's able to sweep unprepared teams pretty efficiently. It doesn't have quite the raw power you'd like for a breaker, something like Urshifu, for example, but it has enough bulk, coupled with superb speed, which outruns things like base and hundreds, and so on and so forth, that it actually is a really viable option in my eyes. It also has good natural bulk, as you know, just from looking at its base stats. So yeah, of course it does have some weaknesses. Fairy type, so Clefable can potentially 1v1 it, but it actually, if you bulk up on a switch and you live a Moonblast, you 2-KO if you get 2 Power Whip, so that's cool. You even live a Life Orb Moonblast from full, which is also helpful. In addition to that, of course, things like Amoonguss and things like Whirlwind Skarmory, which is a fleeting prospect, and anything that has a bug move can be annoying as well, so you gotta be careful, but a lot of pros there. The team also has Stealth Rock Clefable, Utility, Thunderwave plus 3 attacks Tyranitar, I believe, Spikes Ferrothorn, Volt Switch, Toxic, Pain Split, Overheat, Rotom Heat, and Choice Specs Aegislash. Now, there are some things I don't love about the team. For example, any offensive Mold Breaker Excadrill can be very problematic to the team, as your only real answer to its Ferrothorn, and it doesn't have much recovery besides Leech Seed, so especially if you see Excadrill plus, say, Hatterene, or a grass type like Tangrowth with Knockoff, it could be a nuisance to your team. In addition to that, I feel as if the team really would appreciate having a form of speed control beyond Zarude, as it's a pretty slow team, and some matchups against like setup spam or hyper offense get really problematic because of that, and you'll see that as it goes through. But I'm going to bring you guys a package of replays. We have 7 replays, and I'm going to go over all of these games using Zarude. Admittedly, these are some more of the favorably picked out games. I played 60 or 50 some odd games with this team. I ended up going like 42-8 or 42-9 before I switched teams, I think, something like that. It was doing well on a low ladder for sure, but I'm not sure if I'd use this in a tournament game or sustainably on the high ladder. I feel as if there are some inconsistencies with this team, but it also highlights Zarude perfectly. Yes, there are some matchup elements to it that aren't great, but there's a lot of high highs as well, so I definitely would try, if not the team out, which is still a solid team for sure, then absolutely the Zarude out yourself. So, and let me know what your thoughts are if you do try it out in the comments below, of course. Anyway, so in the first game, we're against Coagulate I don't know how to say that. Coagulate Lovedisc? I coagulated, I don't know how to say this name, honestly. I'm not going to even try. But looking at his team, he's got Corviknight, Dragapult, Dracozolt, which is an interesting option. Urshifu, which I'm thinking is probably going to be Urshifu Rapid. Honestly, I'm thinking this might be Urshifu Rapid on this team. Excadrill and Hatterene. Urshifu Rapid's picking up a ton and is paired nicely with things that abuse Toxpex and Amoonguss, so Hatterene, Dracozolt are great options for that. And I think it might just make sense in the structure. So let's get into the game here. I'm going to lead Aegislash knowing that it looks really good against this team. Unfortunately, he leads Excadrill, and it's not really an ideal Pokemon to face, so I go right out the Ferrothorn, and he goes for Rocks, which is fine with me. And I'm predicting the Hatterene, so I just go for a Power Whip, and thankfully he stays in, and I break the Balloon, which is there for some reason, and do 58%, which is great. And now he goes for another Earthquake, and I take it out, so all of a sudden the most threatening Pokemon is out of the way now, which is just great. He goes Dragapult now, and I go Tyranitar because Tyranitar has boots on this team as there's no removal, which I don't love facing spikes with multiple Pokemon. We got Aegislash, Ferrothorn, and Zarude, all vulnerable to it, admittedly. I think that's also down to the team. But anyway, I go for a Thunderwave here, predicting the Urshifu to come in, and he is in fact Urshifu Rapid Strike. I knew if he went Corviknight, otherwise it'd be fine too. So I'm just trying to fire this off the Surging Strikes, but Fortunately, goes for a Drain Punch here, not worried about the Talk Specs, and that's fine. He's now at 82%, which is in Spec Shadow Ball range, and now he's slower because the paralysis, so I know I'm all going to be able to just fire off a Shadow Ball, and it should be able to get a kill here. And thankfully for me, it does get a kill on the Dragapult, which puts me in a 5-4 position, as he now goes to his Drake Assault, and I'm like, okay, damn, it's Zarude time. He goes Earthquake, which only does 23%, and that's good for me. I noticed he's not Life Orb as well, so I don't think he's going to be like a 5+ Draco Meteor variant. He goes for a slower Bolt Beak here, predicting a switch, trying to bait me into thinking that it was a mixed variant, and now I just know I'm in a good position. And I think at this point he's just given up, and he spams Bolt Beak, and we're going to see Zarude sweep a relatively mid to low ladder team as he eventually switches out to Corviknight. But even if he switches to Corviknight after my first boost, I still would have won the 1v1. U-turn doesn't do much. He's Mirror Armor for some unknown reason, and also Tailwind, but I'm fine just jungle healing off the damage. And he sees Drill Peck. It looks like this is a very offensive Corviknight, given that damage is on +2 defense. And it's a Drill Peck, not a Brave Bird, so. But that aside, I am able to heal up quite a bit. As you see, jungle healing is great. He goes bulk up there, but I jungle heal, and now I'm able to kill him off here as Tailwind runs out, and I'm quicker, of course, and a +3 crunch should be able to kill a 21% Corviknight that's only +1 defense, so we are good. Rishfeel Rapid Strike comes in here, I go for the power up, and thankfully I do connect, and that's going to do it, as Crunch will take out the Hatterene, and probably, yeah, it'll take out the Hatterene, and it'll take out the Drake Assault as well, I believe, so that's going to be a good game, barring a very defensive Drake Assault, of course. He actually is probably HP invested given that, but all he can do is go for Bolt Big again, so we are in a fine position, and we're able to prevail here with a Zarude sweep, which is always good to start, but of course, this is more of a low ladder game. Let's keep going, climbing up the ladder. This time around, we're facing what looks like a very solid team. It's got Skarmory, Toxapex, Excadrill, Dragapult, Hippowdon, and Clefable. Again, nothing wrong with this team, looks pretty solid for sure. Maybe a bit weak to opposing Dragapult, but that aside, I definitely fuck with this team, so we're going to have to play our asses off to try and beat this team. It does look like Specs Aegislash is a great matchup here, especially if it's not a specially defensive variant of Toxapex. However, his Dragapult and his Clefable can pressure me depending on sets as well, and Skarmory forcing up spikes is one of the least ideal matchups as well, so because of that, I'd say both sides have a great fighting chance here. We'll have to wait and see what happens though. So right off the bat, he leads Pex, I lead Clef. I'm like, okay, kind of a standard ass lead here. I go for Trick, and I give him the Sticky Barb, which is my Clefable set of Stealth Rock, Trick, Sticky Barb, Moonblast, and the, whatchamacallit, Moonblast and Soft Blows. Yeah, I rock here, so he just goes for Knockoff after predicting a switch. I go Zarude right off the bat, and he goes Knockoff, and I am so fine with that as kind of my answer to the team. Unfortunately, if I touch it, I do get the Sticky Barb, so I just go for the bulk up at this point in time. He goes Skarmory, I'm like, okay, that's great. If he's not a Whirlwind variant, then we actually kind of just win now. He Toxics, and I'm totally fine with that. I go for another bulk up here, knowing he's probably not going to switch. He's going to go for the Body Press, and now I jungle healing out recovers it, so I could just continuously jungle heal in his face, and he can't do anything about it. So I'm like in a fantastic position now. I go for another bulk up. I just don't want to get crit by one of the next 2 Body Presses, as I think that one could have killed me, and now I could just out heal it, and I'm fine. He goes Toxic, and that's not a bad play, as it's forcing passive damage and forcing while jungle healings, but he can't really win this 1v1, so I'm waiting for him to potentially try and risk a Dragapult, bring that in, and try and go for like a Specs Fire attack, but it doesn't seem like that's in the cards for him, as I get a 74% crunch off at +4, I believe, and he just forfeits, because at +4, Power Up kills this, Power Up kills that, Power Up or Crunch kills that, Power Up kills that, Crunch kills that, and he probably wasn't going to be a Specs Dragapult, given that he played it that way, so yeah, Zarude was able to just completely destroy this team because he kept his physical wall in on it, and I think because of that, Zarude is one of the best low ladder killers, as they don't really know what it's doing. But anyway, let's shift gears here now. We're getting a bit higher up the ladder. I think this was in 15 or 1400? No, we're 12. Okay, this was actually lower ladder, but I am against another OLT player, Basa, and I'd assume that he's competent, given that he's using a very common hyper-offensive team that we're seeing used by a lot of the top players trying to climb the ladder. So because that this is like our first real like battle-tested game, I guess you could say. So we're against hyper-offense. He leaves Drill, and I'm like, okay, he's probably gonna leave Drill, so I'm gonna leave with my Zarude here. Looks like a pretty good idea. I go for a Crunch just to test damage, yeah, and he goes Spin here, which is smart to get some quicker. I'm like, okay, I don't want to play too many games, but I kind of want to get a bulk up kip here, but at this point, I'm not sure if it's Scarf Togekiss or not, and because of that, I just went for the Crunch to take it out, so get that out of the way. He goes Gengar, and I'm like, okay, I'll go Aegislash on the Sludge Bomb / Sludge Wave. Yeah, get that right. And I'm going to go Tar on the Shadow Ball, and that avoids taking a poison on Tyranitar. So that's good, because I kind of need this to be able to check potential nasty Pot Togekiss or Scarf Togekiss, so I also waste a turn of Life Orb and Sand there as well. He goes to Groudon and lets that take a Rock Blast as his only Rock Resist. The X-Drill is now long gone, and because of that, I'm in a great position. I get the Ferrothorn on the Groudon, and knockoff does a mere 51%, and I'm able to live 2 knockoffs now, as I'm actually easy to live knockoff into knockoff from Groudon with this Ferrothorn. I changed the spread a little bit. Although actually I think his spread was max defense, but I might have added some special defense and just kept that as a benchmark basically. Because I noticed Groudon's pretty common on the ladder, and it's able to feast on Aegislash if it's locked in the Shadow Ball, as well as Revenge Kill my Tyranitar and my Rotom Heat. So yeah. Anyway, he brings the Togekiss in, and I'm able to thankfully hit through the first Air Slash, not flinching, and I'm making it 4 hits, although it would have been left after just 3 or 2 hits anyway. He goes Rillaboom now to try and Revenge Kill Tyranitar, but I don't even give him that satisfaction as I go Rotom Heat and the Superpower, knowing I can Pain Split off any potential damage I take, and I also need to not let him get too many Swords Dances up in case Grassy Glide becomes a major threat in the long haul. He just goes for Superpower to 61. I go for Pain Split as he goes Zeraora, and I get myself back up to 65% health, which is good as I now live on +2 Grassy Glide. I now go ahead to fodder off my Aegislash. He reveals to be Life Orb, knockoff it to 61% there, and I am so okay with that as I can simply get off a Shadow Sneak, chipping him down below half health, and proceed to Revenge Kill this as I wish, which is probably going to be with the Clefable or Ferrothorn if I had to guess. And it is in fact the Clefable, so yep, he goes knockoff there. It's a good play. Get my item removed, the Sticky Barb, and I just go for a Moonblast, and that's taken care of. Now he's probably going to go to Gengar to follow up and try and keep me in check. However, I'm able to keep this in check myself with my Tyranitar. However, any Focus Blast variant of Aegislash, if Gengar is going to be able to really just pick up kills left and right here. He makes a great double switch going to Rillaboom in my Tyranitar, but thankfully he's not Focus Plus Gengar, so I just saved this, so I'm good against it. I can just fire off my Ferrothorn here, knowing that, okay, I live a +2 Swords Dance with the Rotom Heat, and if he goes for 2 Swords Dances, then he's wasting a lot of Grass Drain turns, and I don't need my Zarude, as keep in mind Zarude is slower than the Gengar. So because of that, I knew that's fine. I go to Zarude anyway, just so I could try and get a kill with it here. I know he's not Drain Punch, so yeah, he goes for the Grassy Glide thinking Crunch kill. Crunch was actually a roll there, I believe, but either after Life Orb, of course it kills, so thankfully that's taken out, and now we're in a 4-1 position, and obviously the Gengar can Revenge Kill the Zarude with a Sludge Wave in just this fashion, but I can now go to my Tyranitar, and again, as long as he's not Focus Blast, which would make it a huge problem to deal with defensively, then I am more than okay handling this Gengar easily and winning the game in a 3-0 fashion. Yeah, I go Heavy Slam there just because that's the filler move. It's really good for Clefable, which opens the game up for Zarude nicely, and I quite like that synergy that Separation has on this team here. But yeah, we're able to prevail here with another win. Now let's get on to the next game, where again, we come a bit higher. Now we're facing another standard team. In fact, this is a sample team. So yeah, again, I think this was literally the next game I played or something like that, like 2 or 3 games later. And it's a really solid team though. It's Toxapex, Dragapult, Excadrill, Mandibuzz, which kind of has this World Cup metagame feel, but that's fine. Clefable, and Rillaboom. So let's see what happens in this game. He leaves Excadrill, I leave Clefable. I'm like, okay, bet. I'm going to go ahead and just go for a Trick Turn 1. I don't know how he spun, in all honesty. I think his play was to just go for Rocks or Iron Head, depending on which he had. I don't know which this team has. These changes have been made to it over time. Anyway, he goes Iron Head. I go for Rocks here. A bit greedy in hindsight. I should have went Ferrothorn, but it's fine. I go Aegislash here, predicting the Spinner Iron Head. He goes Earthquake, predicting that, which is a great play. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting way too greedy. I gotta tone down the nonsense. He goes Earthquake here into Ferrothorn. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's gonna go Spin or Iron Head here now for sure. So I go right back to Aegislash, right? He goes for Earthquake. I'm like, okay, I am playing like an idiot. I need to stop this madness right now. I just can't have my Clefable and Aegislash for nothing. So right at the bat, I'm like, okay, how do I deal with this? I want to get spikes up. I want to pressure that Excadrill because it's already low and it's got Sticky Barb and it's his Spinner. You might have Defog Mandibuzz, but if he's Defog Mandibuzz, then that means that No Houses are being up on both sides. And also Leech Seed plus Body Press Ferrothorn's able to pressure it. Clefable's able to beat it 1v1, so I'm okay with this position. He goes Scald. I get all my spikes up. So now Excadrill's basically dead until Mandibuzz defogs. He keeps Scalding for whatever reason. I go Leech Seed to heal up a bit, and now I'm up at 82, 75%, which is good. And he goes Mandibuzz now, as I go Zarude, predicting that. I'm like, okay, I could use this as setup fodder if he's going to go for the defog first. And he does just that. So I get a bulk up on that. I kind of leverage my position a little bit, and I'm going all in with this Zarude here. He goes bulk up, and I go bulk up, and he's toxic, just like the sample team, which is great. And now I jungle healing up to full health, and he reveals Foul Play as his only attack, because yeah, you don't want Foul Play plus U-turn plus defog. You don't want a Ruthless Mandibuzz, obviously, and you need either Foul Play or knockoff. So I'm like, okay, this is perfect setup fodder, and this is what I'm saying. People that don't know what Zarude doing, it's kind of like the Zarude noob killer. I predicted him to go Pax and try and haze, so I crunch there, which is great, and it does 66 to plus 3, Now he goes back to Mandibuzz, and I go for the power up, just knowing, okay, it'll kill that, but it'll also, the packs, but it'll also hit the Clef if he goes to that on the crunch. So I now can, and I free jungle healing again on this Mandibuzz, and all he can do is foul play me, and I'm like, okay, this is just delightful. Best thing he could do potentially later on is try and revenge kill me with the Specs Dragapult, but even that does not necessarily seem like it's in the cards, as his foul plays are doing so little, and I could just jungle heal up. And at this point, I feel really safe in this position. I just need to let him potentially switch to Dragapult on a bulk up, and I'm fine. But again, he doesn't seem to be taking the aggressive role. He's not an aggressor in this position. I feel as if I am just taking advantage of his passivity here as he continues to spam foul play for some reason. I just don't think he really knows how to deal with it. Maybe he's trying to get foul play crits, but even then they wouldn't amount to much damage, especially since I've got so much jungle peeling PP. And I'm fine. I go for a crunch there, it does 46. He goes for a Toxic, which is a smart play, but it seems as if that's too little too late for him, as I can just jungle healing it off. And if I get another bulk up, then Power Whip or Crunch should be able to 2-kill him comfortably, and I should be in a fine spot. I actually don't even bother with that. I just go for the Power Up here as he goes for a foul point, not even trying to get that Crunch damage off, or Toxic damage off here. So I don't even have to go for another jungle healing. I can simply kill it off with Crunch, and now I'm in a 5-5 position as he goes to Clefable, and obviously it's not going to be Magic Guard unaware in a team like this. It's Magic Guard, so Power Up takes that out. I get another turn of leftovers, so I'm now less scared of Dragapult. The Specs Dragapult doesn't even have a good chance of killing me from this range. And McMahon is he goes Rillaboom here. I'm able to heal that off, and he's just forfeits from there. So yeah, another time that Zarude is going to clean the opponent's team out due to them not knowing what it does, and that's why it's just such an effective low ladder option. Of course, this is the mandatory Finch faces stall game. So in this game, we're facing a stall team. It looks like the team ABR used last cycle. It's Substitute plus 3 attacks, Aegislash. Kind of more special defensive Corviknight, Toxapex, and Mungus, Ditto, of course, and Stealth Rock, Chance, Blissey, I believe. So yeah, looking at this matchup, I know Zarude can do pretty well, but also Specs Aegislash with one close combat into the Blissey can potentially go off, especially if I'm able to suffocate the Blissey. Trick is also very vital. Getting a trick on either Blissey, Corviknight, or either of the two poison types can go a long way. So I'm hoping he doesn't recognize that and go Ditto on every single trick like a good stall player would. And because of that, I feel like also I have some nice leverage with Rotom Heat, because I don't mind if he takes a knock or a status here and there. I can just full switch and pain split around and whatnot, and position myself well to get in Tyranitar, Clefable, Aegislash, and Zarude to do work. Ferrothorn looks okay here, as in it could cripple the Corviknight, potentially spike on it with Leech Seed plus Body Press, but it can only do that a limited number of times, so I gotta play aggressive in order to win that game and leverage my position. I lead Clefable here knowing I can get a trick off right off the bat, and I'm like, hopefully he doesn't go Ditto, and he stays in with Peck, and I'm like, okay, this is a great start. He knocks off the helmet that I received from it, sure, but that just means I could trick the item from other things, and if I gain the Sticky Bar back from Peck for some reason, that's fine too. He goes Amoonguss as I go for Rocks, and I'm totally fine with that, and I trick it, knowing that he's going to go for the Spore here, not go right back to the Pex, because I could use that with Zarude. And thankfully, I get his Rocky Helmet, so now, despite having a Rocky Helmet knocked off, I have another now, and neither Poison Hazard item, and we're only in the first 4 turns. He goes to Corviknight here, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. He defogs, I go Softball, just trying to scout for Iron Head, and I recover up to full. And now he goes for Iron here, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I give it helmet damage anyway. I got Rocks up there. I'm like, okay, he's probably going to defog, but if he goes for another Iron Head, I could just softball it up. And if I get flinched for some reason, then it's fine. I could heal up on Toxapex or Blissey later on. So I go Aegislash here now as he goes for the Iron Head again, trying to kill me, knowing that I might take a greedy stance and just softball on defog. He goes Amoonguss now on the Shadow Ball, and it's going to do a lot of damage to him. It does a whopping 74% from Spec Shadow Ball, which just shows how strong Aegislash is. I know double to Zarude, knowing that's weakened, and I'm able to come in on the Toxapex, which is ideal for me as he's Sticky Barb. I go bulk up here, and I make a bad mistake in a couple turns, as you'll see. I attack the Pex that I tricked, which I think is a bit of a design flaw in this team in hindsight, but it is what it is. He goes for a cover here, and I'm at +2. I'm like, okay, he's like begging me to attack me because he isn't his, and I do that. I'm like, wait a minute, I can get the Sticky Barb now. No. As he knocked me, so now I'm in a hit by Sticky Barb. I'm like, okay, this was mishandled quite a bit, but I think I could salvage it. Sometimes you gotta plan your game around, different things. I get a defense trap there, which is helpful, but also this can't really damage me a ton, as it's not going to be whatchamacallit. It's not going to be Body Press, I believe. It's just U-turn. So yeah. Anyway, I crunch there, predicting the Amoonguss, trying to get the Regenerator off and get the defense drop right. So that worked perfectly. So I get a kill there. He goes Corviknight now. I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. I think I'm just gonna call it and try and leave this chipped as I finish it. So yeah, that works out. He does get a crit there, which actually mattered. I would have had a chance to 2-kill with crunch, but also I did under half and he was left over, so probably not. Anyway, I predict the Blissey here and go for close combat, I believe. Yeah, I get that right, and now I'm in a great position to just spam Flash Cannon with the Aegislash as the Corviknight's weakened, but he actually double switches into the Corviknight before I could get a chance to do that on the Clef. So I go right back to Aegis Slash here, and he goes for Iron Head for some reason instead of Recover, and I'm like, okay, now I'm still in this great position, so now I predict him to stay, and I predict him to go Blissey, and I go Close Combat, which is unfortunately great play by the opponent to stay and go for the Roost. So he got me there, so I just lost some of my positioning there, but I noticed I could regain it back quickly with Rotom Heat, just Volt Switching it off of everything. So I don't feel like all is lost at this point. I go for the Volt Switch here into the Blissey, and it's still at 33% after the Close Combat, so I'm in the driver's seat. I go Tara here because I know I'm quicker than it. And also that puts sand damage on it, so instead of not taking rocks damage, it's more forceful damage. Now he goes to the Corviknight here, and knowing his set, I can stand with Tar and probably just Thunder Wave or whatever I want to do against it. I don't think it's Flamethrower in hindsight. I think it's Rock Blast plus Heavy Slam plus Earthquake plus Thunder Wave. Yeah, but I get the process off on this, and now that clears the way for Aegis Slash even more as I go right to it now, knowing he can't damage me. He just goes for the Body Press, so he does have it after all. Interestingly enough, I think I actually revealed against Zarude when I got the crit earlier, actually in hindsight. But anyway, I go for Shadow Ball here. It does 54 to the special defensive Aegis Slash, and now Iron Head does 33 to me, sure, but that's not enough. I double the Tar here, knowing he's probably gonna go Blissey, and he does go Blissey, so I get not only that play right, but also some sand damage on that. Now it's at 11%, and he goes to Toxfix here on a Rock Blast, and between Sand and Rock Blast hitting 4 times, and him having the... Oh, he doesn't have the item anymore, my bad. But yeah, I have damage Regenerator easily. I Earthquake here trying to take it out. He goes Corviknight. Good play by him because he gains leftovers, and now I have to hit like 4 Rock Blasts or get a Paralysis, and the odds of that combined are not great. But for some reason he goes Iron Head instead of either Body Press to do the most damage, or Roost. For some reason he's clicked Iron Head like every single time instead of Roost. I don't know why, honestly, but regardless of that, I do tweak you out after he crits the Iron Head for 60%. He goes Ditto on my Tar. Now I go Ferrothorn and I just wall it, and the worst case is Earthquake's gonna do like 20%. So that is fine by me. And now Spikes are free to get up, but I predict him to. Oh, actually, I don't even bother predicting Blissey because I know Body Press is over half on average, and he's not even a max HP variant. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Especially with Sand up to kill it because I do 54. Sand takes it out, and now Spikes are up. Hit all 3 Pokemon left, and Aegis Slash can't really kill me. So I am just in a fine spot. He goes Sub here, which I forgot it had, so I go for Leech Seed, but ultimately it's more than okay as I'm able to just win the game from here with just, Power Whip here, take that out, and now he doesn't even 2KO me, and I'm not in close combat range, so I just go Rotom Heat here though. Anyway, and it takes out the Pex with Volt Switch. Now he's down to 2 Pokemon. I go Tar, baiting close combat, or Flash Cannon. I go to my own Aegis Slash here. Now I can go for Sneak because he doesn't have Sneak, and that takes him out, and his Ditto isn't really going to be able to beat 4 Pokemon, so 5 Pokemon, so he just forfeits. So yeah, it's another game. I was really able to defeat Stall there, despite a bit of an early misplay with Zarude, so that's fine. Now I'm up against a bit more of a bulky offensive team. It might be some Skarmory lead hyper offense, and honestly, but he leads with a Life Orb Keldeo, as you see here. Surf is going to do like 60% by Aegis Slash, and I'm going to get a strong Shadow Ball off, which is going to do over 80%. I believe it does 84, so that leaves him in range for next Life Orb to kill him, but scared of a Sacred Sword, I don't want to go to the Ferrothorn here, as I feel it's pretty valuable against Tyranitar and Gengar and Zeraora. So I go Clef there, and I take a lot of damage, which is probably my least valuable member against a Poison and 2 Steals, plus a Tyranitar, which could have Heavy Slam, so... Anyway, I have another Gengar here. Thankfully, it's not of the Focus Plus variety, so I can just go Tar and Rock Blast it in, and that's going to take that out in 4 hits, I believe, right? Yeah, so it was a pretty fortunate sequence of events there. From there, I'm able to just go Clefable and heal up on the Skarmory as long as it's not Iron Head. And even then, Iron Head's a roll from this range, it actually favors me. But yeah, he went for Spikes, he didn't go for Body Press, so it didn't put me in the range. And now he gets all 3 layers of Spikes up, which is annoying, but I'm able to give it the Sticky Barb at least and heal up, so at least I was able to, cripple it. And yeah, he reveals that Body Press is only attacks. I get my rocks up, and also he takes his own Rocky Helmet damage, as that's why I trick from it, so all is well. He goes Scizor now, and I go for Soft Blows trying to heal up, and now Scizor is a bit of a nuisance. I go Rotom Heat because of that, but thankfully he doesn't have any rocks up yet, so despite losing my boots to the Choice Band knockoff, I now know his set, and I'm able to Pain Split up. So not all hope is lost here. He brings in Tar, and I heal up to 81%, so it's like I'm good as new here. I could live another knockoff, and I go for Volt Switch now, knowing he's not Scarf Tar, obviously. And I bring in my Zarude, just like knowing, okay, he's probably going to go Rocks. He does in fact go for Rocks. Now I go for a Bulk Up here, and that's going to make it so that I'm able to kill Scizor after the next turn of Rocks. And I don't think this Skarmory Spikes plus Defog, so that'll negate that issue as well, which will free things up for Clefable and Ferrothorn too. So I'm totally fine with that. As yeah, it's basically trade there. He goes Tar here now, and I'm able to go Aegis Slash. He's Protect, interestingly enough, but Flash Cannon is able to threaten that, so he fires off to Scizor, brings in Zeraora to Revenge Kill me, and now I can go to Clef as he bulks up. I just Moonblast, and again, I'm Helmet, so I know that's going to be able to deal with it. So thankfully, all is well, as we're going to basically trade here. He bulks up on the first Moonblast and Plasma Fist to kills me, but Helmet is going to put him into a kill range from the Moonblast. And now it's Tyranitar and Skarmory against the world. He goes Skarm as I go Ferrothorn. I can just Leech Seed and then Body Press spam. He goes Tar and the spikes, I guess, and I just, I kill it, and then that pretty much ends the game. So Ferrothorn's able to win the game here. This is a pretty good game. Yeah, we're getting closer to 1500s here now. And now we're against Analytic. Last person I'm going to bring the game against. He's a manager in Smogon Stake Draft, a player in World Cup Pokemon, and a friend of mine. I don't think he realized this was me, but he's using a really weird team with Ditto, Togekiss, Skarmory, Como-O, Blissey, and Urshifu. I don't really know what to make of it, honestly, but I knew I was going to be in for a close game because he's a solid opponent. So because of that, it's going to be the last game we're going to go through real quick. I lead Clefable, he leaves Urshifu. I'm like, okay, this is a pretty good position. I think I just want to get a trick off here, and he goes Blissey instead of Ditto. Again, I don't know why people don't go Ditto turn 1. Are they scared of like losing? They don't really need a Scarf in this game anyway, but either way, Blissey being tricked is a huge plus for me. He now teleports out and brings in Urshifu, but that's fine with me as I can just go Clefable, and I don't mind, you know, if he goes Poison Jab, he goes Poison Jab, it's fine, but he U-turns into Togekiss. I'm like, okay, he's probably going to double back, and worst case scenario, he's just going to try and predict the Tango Como, so I'll just soft build up here, and that's going to allow, he doubled into Urshifu, so I'm able to heal off that, and now I'm Moonblast into Blissey. Blissey's taking Sticky Web damage, which is really obnoxious, so he wants to get out of there. He goes to Ditto now, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, you want to trick your Scarf away? I'm going to go Aegislash and take that and make it so you're still choice locked, because Aegislash is more of a mix breaker in this game anyway. He goes Como here now. On, I think, a close combat, yeah, and that's only going to do 25%, which reveals, yeah, he's a more defensive Como variant. Maybe not max defense, but at least close to it, so I know chipping that's of the utmost importance for this team, as it's the only way for Zarude to be useful, but also, when I'm also facing things like Togekiss, I just think this is not the best match for Zarude, in all honesty. And that's one point I want to highlight. Zarude is a bit of a matchup-oriented Pokemon in that some things are going to hard wall it and you get it no matter what set you use, no matter how much you play around it, and because of that, it's really limited viability. I think it's more of a UU Pokemon and OU Pokemon. I highlighted a lot of games which is able to thrive under the right circumstances, i.e. opponents not knowing what it does and or people bringing unprepared teams, but that aside, it's still limited in what it could do. Anyway, I'm going to be pressuring this Blissey a ton here. I go Volt Switch here. I'm able to bring in the Zarude just to try and get a revenge kill as after Sticky Barb, it's going to be put under the 25%, and because of that, it's basically dead, but he switches out anyway to leave it as fodder, but he also leaves the Como, bring the Como in, which is going to take hazard damage plus crunch damage, leaving it at 58%, so that progress is being made well. Now I go Aegislash here predicting a Body Press, which he goes for, and now I think I double out here to Clefable predicting a, wanted to see if he's Earthquake or Flamethrower, yeah, that was it. And now he goes Skarmory, so I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. He spikes up here. I go for Trick on it, predicting him not to go Blissey because Blissey's dead anyway. And I give him Boots, but I get a Helmet, which is good for me. He makes a great play going for Toxic there, and in hindsight, there was no reason for me not to just spam Moonblast a little bit to scout for that, but it's fine. As his Ditto comes in on my Rotom Heat, which is pretty much his only response with Blissey basically dead and Como being worn out. So I get a Volt Switch off of that Ditto, and I know he doesn't have Trick on his Ditto now because his Rotom Heat is my Rotom Heat and all that. Anyway, he reveals these Boots Togekiss, and that's fine with me, as I can check it with Tyranitar or Aegislash, which on Scarf, or Rotom Heat. I go Rotom Heat as a mid-round. He goes Urshifu though, and it's a great play by the opponent. I just want to go Zarude to get that out of the way because it's really not useful here, and I need to see what he locks into. He locks into U-turn, which of course easily takes him out through the 4 times resistance. He goes back to Togekiss here, but I go Rotom Heat, and Volt Switch applies a ton of pressure to his team here now. Ditto takes full hazards, and then after Volt Switch, I go Toxic there, predicting the Como, I guess. Yeah, that was fine. Either way, I figure he's gonna Pain Split here, so that would make the Clef the best play, but he actually goes for Volt Switch and leaves me really low, which is a problem, as now Urshifu is going to be able to torment me, but it's fine. I know he goes Wicked Blow here because there's no way he goes for close combat with Aegislash still being alive in a while, so because of that, that lets me stall out one time Urshifu comes in and take hazards, as well as get some sand damage on it, which is good. I just use the fodder up Ditto as I go for a Thunder Wave, but Como comes in here now, and without my beloved Clefable, I'm in a bit of a predicament against it. But he doubles Urshifu as I just try and fodder off Clefable, so that's more hazards he's taking, and I'm fine with that, as I know he's going to go Wicked Blow here, but I'm just fine foddering off Tyranitar, as it really isn't needed so long as I've got Aegislash plus Rotom Heat for Togekiss, and it also means that I force sand damage on it, which means you can only switch in one more time to hazards now. And seeing as I'm Scarf Aegislash with Trick, I'm quicker than it, I'm able to take that out, and he just fodders off the Blissey because of that. See what I lock into? I actually lock into close combat, which is fair, because it could be bulletproof on the Como, but he goes Togekiss. I'm like, okay, there's no way he's going to try, and he's going to try and capitalize on Rotom Heat double, so I close combat into it, and I catch the Urshifu, and now I'm able to win the game from there, basically. I'm running out of battery, so you can see I just Volt Switch around, and that's pretty much that. He's able to take that out, but nothing's able to beat Rotom Heat in the long haul. Aegislash can clean things out, plus Rotom Heat. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out Jambad's book. Alright, peace guys, have a good day.